Can you imagine? I did not know who I was until I was in high school. That's right. And do you know how many people think they know who they are, and yet they have no clue who they are? Even in their 30s, 40s, 50s, some of them 70s and even 80s. Welcome to my channel. Today we are talking personal development. It all started one day in class. I was in a class. We had finished our exams. There was no teacher in class, and everybody was making noise. We were having a great time while we were waiting for schools to close. And in the middle of a noisy class, I heard a voice. Somebody spoke to me. Somebody I couldn't see. Somebody that was not part of the students or part of my classmates. It turned out to be God. How I knew about that it was God and what specifically He told me, I am going to do a video in future to explain that. It's a long story. But it turned out to be God, and He was responding to a prayer I had prayed much earlier, a few years before that, when I was very sick. I almost died, and I prayed a prayer to a God that I did not know. The prayer I'm talking about was very simple and straightforward. It was at a parking lot in an hospital. I was held by two people, one on each side, because I could not walk and I was very sick. I had been sick for an entire year, 12 months. So I prayed a simple prayer, and that was, God, I am tired. If I am going to die, let me die. And if I'm going to be healed, let me be healed as soon as possible. That was my prayer. Very simple and straightforward. And when I prayed it, I forgot about it. They took me to the reception. I was seen by the doctors, and straight away I was booked and admitted in the hospital. Amazingly, after being sick for an entire 12 months, having been moved from hospital to hospital, I had gone to so many hospitals, and that's why I was praying that prayer. I was just tired. Amazingly, by what I can only call a miracle, in 3 days I had been totally healed, which amazed everybody. And in 3 days I was discharged out of the hospital. Everybody knew that was a miracle. I mean, years later when I grew up, I had a talk with my grandmother, who told me, you know, Andrew, when you are taken to hospital that day, we knew you will never come back alive. My grandmother told me that. You are so sick. When you are taken to hospital, we just started preparing because we knew you will not come back alive. We just didn't see how that was going to happen. So they were even prepared for the worst. So 3 days later, I was discharged. I was out of the hospital, but I did not talk to God. I knew it was a miracle, and God had not talked to me at that time. I did not talk to God. I don't even think I ever said thank you. I just kept growing. And by the way, that time when I prayed that prayer, I was very young. I was in class 4, primary, Kenya system. I was in class 4. I don't know. I was very young. I was hardly 10. So I prayed a prayer at class 4. I gave God 2 options, to be healed or to die, because I was tired. You know, at that point, there is a point at which when you get so tired, you're not even afraid of dying. I was there. That's why it was not so hard. I mean, I gave God options. And God chose to heal me. God answered the prayer. He healed me, even to my own surprise. But I didn't say anything. I was a little boy, very young. And then fast forward to high school, where I'm seated, you know, among noisy students and classmates. And then suddenly I hear a voice that turns out to be God. He said, Andrew. He called me by my name. Andrew. Remember when you asked me to heal you? And of course, exactly I remembered. He said, I healed you. What have you ever done for me? And that was it. He didn't say anything else. And immediately after he said that, everything changed. Everything. It was as if I was going one direction and everything completely changed. I about turned. I went 180 degrees. I started going the other direction. And my life has never been the same. And it will never be. Everything changed. The experience was so dramatic, and I don't mean in a bad way. It was so real that by the time God was done speaking, I realized about 50% of students were staring at me. And I remember one of them asked me, Andrew, what has happened to you? They were staring at me. I had had an experience. I had never heard of that. I had never known those kind of experiences are there. It was just, it was too awesome. There are no words to describe it. And I think I'm going to talk more on it as we continue on this channel. But immediately he spoke to me. Something happened in my heart. I started searching. The first thing that came to my heart is I needed to be right. I needed to find God, and I needed to be right with him. I needed to have a relationship. That the first thing that happened when he was done was I needed to have a relationship with him. So the immediate thing, I looked across the class to see whether there was somebody that would tell me, tell me what I should do about what I had heard. And of course, that led me to somebody, and that somebody led me, and it was a long story that has brought me all the way up to where I am today. A long story. Because I ended up starting to have a relationship with God, and the relationship grew, and I started discovering myself. I remember before God spoke to me in that class that day, I was very confused about life and about everything. I was so confused. I would be wondering, what is life about? What are we doing? What is the meaning for everything? I used to ask myself those kind of questions before I had that experience. I mean, I couldn't understand what life is about. You know, those hard questions, I don't know. I think probably you've asked yourself the same, or I don't know. But there's a time when you ask yourself those hard questions. I used to wonder. I wanted to understand life, and why am I here? Why are we here? Where did we come from? What is everything about? Oh, my life changed. Oh, it changed. Really changed. So anyway, I started a journey that time that changed everything. I got the answers to those questions that I was asking. Today, I have the answers to those questions that I was asking that time. But one of the most important things that happened in that journey after God spoke to me was that I discovered myself, who I was, how important I was and I am. And that is the most important thing that can happen to anybody. Personal development begins with self-discovery. I'm going to say that again. Personal development begins with self-discovery. You cannot develop what you've not discovered. You cannot develop what you do not know. And another word or terms for personal development is personal growth. Your growth begins with you discovering who you are. And when I talk about who you are, I am not talking about your name. I'm not talking about your body. Your body is not you. You are a spirit that has a soul which lives in a body. The real you is inside you. The real you is inside your body. Your body is only a home. It's a house. You know, I like to tell people the body is the house God constructed for our spirits. Because man is a spirit. The real you is a spiritual being. I don't mean that should scare you. That is the reality. That is the real thing. The real you is a spirit. You are a spirit. So when I talk about self-discovery or when I talk about self-discovery, I am talking about you discovering who your spirit is. The real me is a spirit, and so is you and every other person you see. So if you want to grow and grow properly, your growth must begin with you discovering who you are in the inside. Who are you? My journey to self-discovery began that day in that class. And oh, wow, I thank God. Because I got to understand myself. Today, I know who I am. And it's very important for you to understand yourself. Not who people say you are. Not who your parents told you you are. Not who you have always thought you are. Who are you? So, in this channel, I focus on three major things: purpose, personal development, and leadership. So we have started the journey of personal development. This is the first video on personal development, I will continue from here and we will build on that. We will talk more on personal development and a lot of things on personal, because there's so much to talk about personal development. There is so much to talk about purpose. There is so much to talk about leadership, and all of those are related. They are related when it comes to you. And you need to hear all of those. So please subscribe to my channel, activate the notification bell, like the video, share the video, let somebody get to hear this. This can actually change somebody's life, because I think this is the first time I have recorded my experience, that experience. And I have so many other experiences. I haven't recorded them. And this is the first time I'm recording this kind of experience. So thank you so much for watching. I'm happy that you watched. Please subscribe and let us trust that we are going to have a wonderful journey of personal development, and we will grow together. Thank you.